Part 2 is already up. We go into the full anatomy of the press, plate making using CTP, and how CMYK color actually works on an offset press.
Now let us look at the full anatomy of a modern offset press. There are 8 key units and they all work in sequence. Unit 1 is the feeder unit. This is where the paper enters the press. Suction cups pick individual sheets one at a time from the paper stack and feed them into the press with perfect alignment. Any misalignment here will cause registration problems throughout. Unit 2 is the dampening unit. Before the plate receives any ink, it receives water. The dampening unit applies a controlled, even film of fountain solution to the plate surface, covering the non-image areas and preparing the plate for inking. Unit 3 is the inking unit. A series of rollers distribute ink from the ink fountain evenly across the entire image area of the plate. The press operator controls ink volume through small adjustable keys called ink keys. Getting the ink distribution right is critical for consistent color. Unit 4 is the plate cylinder. We have already covered this. It holds the plate, receives water and ink in sequence, and transfers the inked image to the blanket. Unit 5 is the blanket cylinder. The rubber blanket receives the image from the plate and transfers it to the paper. The blanket needs to be cleaned regularly because paper dust and ink build up, degrade print quality over time. Unit 6 is the impression cylinder. This provides the pressure for the ink transfer. It also has mechanical fingers called grippers that grab each sheet as it enters, hold it precisely through the printing zone, and release it at the other end. Unit 7 is the delivery unit. After printing, sheets are collected here. The delivery unit stacks them in order, uses slow-down mechanisms to prevent sheets from crashing into each other, and often applies a fine anti-scuff powder to prevent wet ink from transferring to the back of the next sheet. Unit 8 is the drying or curing unit. Depending on the ink type and substrate, this unit applies heat, UV light, or infrared radiation to cure or dry the ink before the sheet is handled or goes into finishing. Before a single sheet can be printed, the plates need to be made, and today that process is done through CTP, which stands for Computer to Plate. Before CTP became standard in the early 2000s, the process went through film. You would shoot the design onto film, develop the film, and then use the film to expose the plate. CTP removed that entire film stage. Today, a laser writes the image directly from your digital file onto the plate. Let me walk you through the 6 steps. Step 1 is design file preparation. The final PDF file needs to be at 300 dpi resolution in CMYK color mode with bleed and crop marks set correctly. Any error at this stage carries through everything that follows. Step 2 is RIP processing. RIP stands for Raster Image Processor. The RIP software converts the PDF into a dot pattern, one layer for each color channel. Cyan, magenta, yellow, and black each become a separate file at this stage. Step 3 is CTP exposure. A laser head inside the CTP machine burns the image dot by dot onto the photosensitive coating of the aluminum plate. One plate for each color. 4 colors means 4 plates. Step 4 is development. Either through heat or a chemical bath, the exposed areas become ink receptive and the unexposed areas are washed away. The plate is now ready. Step 5 is quality inspection. The plate is checked under magnification and with a densitometer to verify dot size, dot gain, registration marks, and that there are no defects. A bad plate means a bad print run. Step 6 is mounting on press. The plate is bent to match the curve of the plate cylinder and clamped into position using precision registration pins. Each color gets its own printing unit on the press. Modern CTP machines can produce a plate in under 2 minutes. That speed is one of the reasons Offset remains highly competitive even in a digital age. Now let us talk about color, because understanding how CMYK works on an offset press is one of the most important things a print professional can know. An offset press prints one color at a time. A full color printed piece requires 4 separate passes through the press, one for each of the 4 process colors. On a single color press, the paper runs through 4 times. On a 4 color press, all 4 units print simultaneously as the paper travels through. That is how modern commercial offset presses work. The four colors are cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Cyan handles the cool blues and greens. Magenta creates reds, pinks, and purples. Yellow builds the warm tones and yellows. And black adds depth, sharpness to text, and contrast. Together, they can reproduce up to 16.7 million different colors. But here is something that surprises most people. The colors on the printed sheet are not solid. They are made of tiny dots. This is called halftone screening. Each color channel is broken into dots of varying sizes at specific angles. Cyan sits at 15 degrees, magenta at 75 degrees, yellow at 90 degrees, and black at 45 degrees. These angles are chosen carefully to prevent the dots from overlapping in a visible pattern. When you hold a printed piece at normal reading distance, your eye blends those tiny dots together and you see smooth, continuous color. Move a loop to the surface and suddenly the dots are visible. That is the reality of offset print. Halftone screens in offset printing typically run at 150 to 200 lines per inch. The higher the line screen, the finer the dot and the smoother the image. Two more concepts worth knowing. Pantone colors, also called spot colors, are pre-mixed inks that match an exact formula. They require additional printing units beyond the four process colors, and total ink coverage on offset should generally stay at or below 300% to avoid drying problems and set off. One of the most important decisions in any offset print job is the choice of substrate. The surface you print on changes everything. The color, the feel, the cost, and even the drying method depend on the paper type. Let me take you through the main categories. Coated gloss, also called art paper, runs from 80 to 350 grams per square meter. It has a smooth, shiny surface that produces vivid colors and sharp image detail. This is what magazines, brochures, and high-end catalogs are printed on. Coated matte runs from 90 to 250 grams per square meter. It has the smooth surface of coated paper but without the shine. It gives an elegant premium feel and is excellent for text-heavy content like books and annual reports. Uncoated or offset paper runs from 60 to 120 grams per square meter. This is the most natural paper feel. It absorbs ink differently from coated stocks, which means color gamut is slightly reduced, but it is easy to write on and gives a clean, functional result. Letterheads, manuals, and forms are typical uses. Cardstock and board runs from 200 to 450 grams per square meter. This is used for packaging, greeting cards, and point of sale materials where the substrate needs to be rigid and hold its shape. Newsprint sits at 40 to 52 grams per square meter, making it the lightest and cheapest substrate used in offset. Ink absorbs directly into the porous surface with no drying unit required. A quick note on GSM, which stands for grams per square meter. This is the universal measure of paper weight. Standard office paper is 80 GSM. A premium business card might be 350 GSM. Higher GSM means thicker, heavier, more premium. Understanding GSM and surface type together is what allows a print professional to recommend the right stock for every job. Not all inks used in offset printing are the same. The choice of ink affects color, drying time, environmental impact, and the finish of the final product. Let me take you through the main ink types. Process inks, or CMYK inks, are the standard transparent inks used in four-color printing. They are designed to overprint each other to build the full color range. Pantone or spot inks are pre-mixed to an exact color formula. They are used when a brand color needs to match precisely or when a color is outside the CMYK gamut. Brand logos, corporate identities, and packaging often require spot colors. UV inks cure instantly under ultraviolet light. They produce a very high gloss finish, are extremely durable, and emit no volatile organic compounds during drying. UV inks are increasingly popular in packaging and high-end commercial work. Soy and vegetable-based inks are an eco-friendly alternative to traditional petroleum-based inks. They produce brighter colors, are easier to remove during paper recycling, and reduce environmental impact. Metallic inks contain actual metallic pigment, usually gold or silver particles. They are used in luxury packaging and premium stationery. Fluorescent inks are extremely high chroma, producing vivid neon effects, common in safety labels and promotional print. Now let us talk about how ink dries, because this is where many print problems originate. Oxidative absorption is the most traditional method. The ink penetrates the paper fibers and simultaneously reacts with oxygen in the air to harden. It is the slowest method and most common for uncoated stocks. Heat-set drying is used in web offset printing for magazines and newspapers. Hot air dryers at high temperature evaporate the oil solvents in the ink rapidly, allowing the press to run at very high speeds. UV curing uses ultraviolet lamps to instantly polymerize the ink molecules. There is no drying time at all. Both sides of the sheet can be printed in immediate succession. This is ideal for packaging. Cold set or newsprint drying is the simplest of all. No drying unit is used. The ink simply absorbs into the porous newsprint surface. Fastest and cheapest, but the lowest quality result.
That is part 2 of episode 2 complete. In this part, we went through all 8 units of a modern offset press, the complete CTP plate making system, the complete CTP plate making process from digital file to aluminum plate, and how 4 ink colors combine using half-tone dot to reproduce millions of colors on the printed sheet. We also covered paper types, GSM, ink types, and the different drying methods used in offset printing.